this morning from Washington, a Hillary Clinton supporter whose firm has worked for one of the super PACs supporting Clinton's campaign. Good morning to both of you. And Mr. Representative, I want to start with you. Was Cornel West, who's been very critical of President Obama, the best choice to be kind of a spokesperson for Bernie Sanders across the state? When we know that many African Americans are primarily looking for someone who's going to continue the Obama legacy?
Well, first of all, let me say I think Cornel West is one of the best persons to represent Bernie Sanders because of what Cornel West stands for, and that is change in this country. Now, as far as carrying on Obama's legacy, I doubt that's going to happen very seriously. What president's going to carry on another president's legacy? So for the Clinton campaign and for the Clinton staff and for Clinton herself to say, I want to carry on Obama's legacy, I think it's misleading. No president in this country is going to pick up someone else's legacy and carry it. What would that lead? Where would that lead them? So I have some serious concerns about that comment coming from any of her campaign members. They know that is not the truth. As a matter of fact, remember, this is the same person who ran against Obama 8 years ago. So why would she want to continue on his legacy?
Let me challenge that. It's not just the campaigns that are saying that. I was at Claflin University in South Carolina State. Now, those students who were, some of them decided, some of them undecided, they disagreed on a lot. One thing they agreed on, they wanted someone who would carry on and protect the legacy of Barack Obama. Let me come to you, Maria Cardona. The representative says there's no candidate who's going to carry on and protect the legacy of another president. What do you say?
I think that absolutely Hillary Clinton would carry on Obama's legacy, specifically because it's also part of her legacy. She served as his Secretary of State. She has been the consummate team player as part of his administration. She has focused her life's work on many of the issues that he has been able to implement as president, especially Obamacare, which has given health care to millions of Americans who didn't have it before. Let's remember that she was the one who tried to make the big push for that back in the early 90s and has the scars to show for it. So I think she feels very strongly that Obama's legacy can be her legacy. Now, that doesn't mean that she won't do other things differently, that she won't continue to build on his legacy, which is actually what she has been saying. And so I think for African Americans and Latinos and middle-class families all around the country who are looking for a champion to continue to be their voice, Hillary Clinton speaks very loudly to those folks, and her message is resonating.
Let me ask you about Bernie Sanders and his effort to make those inroads into minority communities, especially the African-American community. Has he been successful here? It seems that the expectation is that he will trail by double digits, maybe 20 or more points here. That obviously does not prove well for moving into other southern states, East Coast states, as the primary season continues.
Well, he always had questions. Excuse me. He always had questions about the state of South Carolina, and coming into this state, we knew that the Clinton folks had this locked down. We knew that African Americans had rallied around her, kind of guarded her and took care of her. So we knew there was going to be an uphill challenge. But I think what we're trying to do now is just trying to marginalize it, trying to bring this margin in together. Losing South Carolina does not mean he's losing, this whole election. It means that he's losing his state. As a matter of fact, we lost Nevada by 5 points, where they thought he was going to lose by 20 points or 15 points or something of that nature.
What do you expect the margin to be here?
We're not quite sure yet. It's not as much as we want it to be, but we're not quite sure what that margin is going to be pretty soon.
Maria, let me come to you with what we learned overnight, that Bill Clinton, former president, his former labor secretary, Robert Reich, has endorsed Bernie Sanders, saying that if Hillary Clinton becomes the nominee, he'll support her, of course, but he believes that Bernie Sanders is the agent of change that the country needs right now. Has to be a blow to Clinton folks.
Well, I'm sure they would have preferred for him to support Hillary, but look, at the end of the day, people are going to support whoever they want, and it actually doesn't surprise me that that Secretary Reich has supported Bernie Sanders. I think they're very similar in terms of ideology. That doesn't mean, though, that Hillary Clinton is not going to continue to press on and focus on her message of progressive change, on her message of making sure that the barriers that have been set up for people all around the country that keep them from reaching their God-given potential, that she is the one that is going to be able to knock them down, that's going to be able to get to real solutions. and that will focus on growth in all sectors of our society. But look, Bernie Sanders has run a terrific campaign. Secretary Clinton is not taking anything for granted, even in South Carolina. She's working her heart out. She's working her heart out all across the South. I think this primary has been terrific for Democrats, great for the country. And when you look at what's going on in comparison to the other side, Victor, I think all Democrats can be very proud of the kind of campaign we're both running.
The Republicans in just a moment. Let me ask you about South Carolina and Bernie Sanders. He says he has not written off South Carolina.
Right.
He's not here today. Won't be back. He's going to be in Minnesota tonight. I mean, do South Carolina voters feel like he's written off here?
No, I don't think they feel that way. We don't feel that he's been written
Where
off.
is
And let
he?
me challenge. Well, he was here last night, and I was there up until about 10:30. About 10:30 last night. I mean, the only thing that's going to happen today is folks voting. You know, folks are going to be voting today, and that's it. But let me challenge the myth that Hillary will be better for black folks. Listen at that. Hillary will be better for black folks when her history does not always dictate that. You know, it was just recently she started carrying Obama's legacy. It was just recently she started talking about racial equality, women's rights. Come about October or November, she was so far right you didn't know whether she was running for a Republican or a Democrat. It wasn't until Sanders began to start challenging her, began to start talking about racial equality, began to start talking about prison reform.
Well, the pushback is that she worked for him for 4 years.
Yeah,
I mean, she didn't just start in October.
Yeah, but
she worked for him for 4 years.
But she did not start holding up his banner until she came into the African American communities, until Bernie started challenging her in terms of her issues and her concerns.
Yeah. Representative Alexander, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Maria Cardona, thank you so much. I know you want to come back to that, but we have to move on to the Republicans because there's a lot of action on that side, too. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks,
of course,
Victor.
the insults we've seen firing back and forth between Donald Trump and Marco Rubio. We'll have the best